Hey everyone, and welcome back. Summertime, right? Who doesn't love a good getaway? But I'll be honest, sometimes just thinking about planning a trip, well, especially when you're dealing with low vision like me, it can feel like a whole other layer of, I don't know, hurdles to jump over.
Oh, I totally get it. Those travel hiccups everyone deals with, yeah, they can feel a lot more amplified when you're trying to navigate the world with a visual impairment.
It's like the stress is just built in. But before we all just unpack our bags and set up camp in the living room, I found something that I think will really resonate with a lot of you. We're diving into this guide, and it's packed with tips for making travel easier. And it's all from someone who's been there, who gets those challenges firsthand.
And what I appreciate right off the bat is how this guide cuts right to the chase. They come right out and say traveling alone with low vision, totally doable. It just comes down to like a little preparation and knowing where to find the resources you need.
Music to my ears,
Yeah.
seriously.
Okay.
So they jump right in with a section called Mastering the Journey. And this is where I always feel like, okay, this is where things can get a little dicey.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, it's all about managing those unknowns and feeling like you have some control, right? Did you
So
know, for example, that you can actually, airlines they have to help passengers with disabilities. It's the law.
Oh yeah, I've definitely learned that pre-booking assistance is like essential. It makes those potentially crazy airport situations so much smoother.
It's such a game changer. And the same goes for train travel, too. Services like, for instance, the NS, the Dutch Railways, they've got similar programs where they can, like, guide you to your platform, help you get on the train, even make sure there's someone there to meet you when you arrive. Just takes a load off.
Totally. It's amazing how much easier things are
Hmm.
with a little support.
Yeah.
Speaking of, the guide also mentions, like if you're on a budget, alternative transportation like Flixbus.
Oh, yeah, Flixbus. It's not exactly luxury, but there's a certain beauty in its, simplicity. No running through those giant airports, no trying to figure out last-minute gate changes, and definitely no wrestling with those luggage carousels.
Okay, see, now you're talking my language. Skipping the luggage carousel, that's a win in my book. But it does bring up, I don't know, a little travel anxiety for me, which is lost luggage. I can only imagine how much more stressful that would be if you couldn't just, like, scan the carousel for your bag.
Oh, absolutely. That's a valid concern. Like you're already in this new place trying to adjust, and then that one familiar thing, your bag, vanishes. Don't worry. The guide addresses this head on.
It's like that feeling when you can't find your phone, but, like, times a million, right?
Right.
Thankfully, this guide, they've got some pretty clever workarounds for that.
Yeah. One thing they talk about is like making your luggage instantly recognizable, even if you can't see it clearly, right?
Mhm.
They actually advise against using like keychains or those dangly tags on your checked bags. They can get caught on stuff and ripped off.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I've lost count of how many keychains have gone MIA thanks to my luggage.
Right. So instead, they suggest, this is smart, attaching those bright colored ribbons or even just like scraps of fabric makes it stand out. And it also means you can give like super clear directions to anyone who might be helping you find it.
Okay, I love that. Low-tech solution still works. But speaking of tech, the guide also talks about air tags. Have you
Oh,
used those?
all the time. They're a lifesaver, especially, with low vision. You can actually trigger a sound from the AirTag using your phone. So
Yeah.
say it's buried somewhere, your bag, but it's got to be close by. You can just make it chirp.
Oh, that's brilliant. No more digging through a mountain of luggage at baggage claim. Well, hopefully. But let's shift gears from the airport to another summer staple, the beach. Now that's a whole other ball game when it comes to keeping track of your stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It's a unique set of challenges, right? You've got these wide open spaces. The sand's always shifting. There's tons of people. It's easy to misplace things even with perfect vision.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So what does our guide recommend for like creating order out of that beautiful chaos?
Well, one thing that pops up a lot is this idea of really, really using your other senses. So at the beach, for example, that might mean picking a spot for your stuff based on, I don't know, sound landmarks instead of just what you see. So smart. So instead of saying, I left my bag by that lifeguard stand, they all look the same, you could say, it's by the lifeguard stand where the waves are loudest, or something like that.
Exactly. It's like building a mental map but with sound. They even mention using your white cane as a location marker on the beach.
Okay, at first I was picturing someone using their cane to like build a sandcastle moat around their stuff. But actually, now that I think about it, it's kind of brilliant. It's using what you already have.
Exactly. And speaking of using what you have, let's talk about what you pack, because that can make or break a trip.
Okay, I am so ready for some packing hacks. What does this guide recommend? Spill the beans. I'm always down for a good packing hack, especially one that, makes life on the go a little easier. Well, they actually have a whole section on sunscreen. And, I figured, okay, sunscreen, got it. But they get specific. They really emphasize finding one that's both waterproof and colorless.
Okay, that's a detail I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense, especially if you're, like me, prone to those, interesting tan lines.
Right. And especially if you have sensitive skin, finding one that checks those boxes can be tricky. And speaking of skincare, they also talk about after sun care. And get this, they actually recommend skipping after sun products altogether.
Wait, really? Isn't that like a cardinal rule of being out in the sun? You got to have the after sun? What's the logic there?
So they point out that a lot of after sun products, they have alcohol in them and fragrances and all this stuff that can actually dry out your skin, which kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah.
So instead, they recommend just using a really good, simple, water-based lotion.
Huh. You live and you learn, right? Okay, so ditch the after sun, grab the lotion. What else is on this unexpected essentials list?
Another one is pain relievers, which, okay, seems obvious, but honestly, when you're dealing with a sunburn or you've just been out and about exploring, having those on hand can be a lifesaver.
100%. I never travel without them.
Mm.
Okay, any advice on the, what do you call it, the footwear front?
They have a really good one. They say pack both slippers and water shoes.
Okay, slippers I get. You're in your hotel room, your Airbnb, whatever, got to have those. But water shoes, tell me more.
Right. So think about it. Water shoes, yeah, they're good for water activities, but they're also great for if you're on, like, a rocky beach, hot sand, even just, those slippery surfaces around a pool. And as they point out, you can wear them in and out of the water so you don't have to do that whole, like, find your flip-flops, lose your flip-flops thing every time.
Game changer. No more searching for lost flip-flops. Speaking of travel struggles, let's talk about long flights. I don't know about you, but I'm really sensitive to sound. Like, it can be really overwhelming. Anything in this guide for making those flights a little more bearable.
They actually have a good one for that. They recommend investing in some noise-canceling headphones. And what's interesting is they say even if you, like, want to listen to music or a podcast with your earbuds, you can wear the noise-canceling headphones over them. Creates, like, a double layer of sound protection.
That's genius. I'm trying that ASAP. Okay, before we wrap up, there's one last tip from this guide I have to ask about, and it's about avoiding bed bugs.
Ah, yes. Not the most fun travel topic, but definitely an important one.
So what's the secret? How do we keep those little guys out of our suitcases?
It's so simple, but, like, when you get to your hotel room, resist that urge to just toss your luggage on the bed. Because bed bugs, they love to hide in the mattress, the bedding, all that. So if you keep your stuff off of there, you're way less likely to, accidentally bring any home with you.
Okay, you're right. It's simple, but so smart. And honestly, I needed that reminder because I am so guilty of wanting to just unpack the second I walk in the door. But I'll take a little extra caution over, a bed bug infestation any day.
Exactly. And that's what I really love about this guide. It's just full of these really practical, actionable things you can actually do to feel more confident and just make traveling with low vision or any other challenges a little bit easier.
Couldn't agree more. Being prepared, knowing your resources, having a few good hacks up your sleeve, that's what it's all about. So to all our listeners out there, where are you headed this summer? Hit us up on social media. Let us know your travel tips, your dream destinations, all that good stuff. And until next time, happy travels, everyone.